Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, a big welcome to you. Thanksgiving is gone, and now on to Christmas, which is many people's favorite time of the year, including my own. Of course, it's my favorite time of the year, probably not for the reasons that you are thinking. It's my favorite time of the year because of all the Christmas cookies. If you've been following my channel at all, I have already shared with you my love for cookies. And at Christmas time, there are so many different yummy kinds that you can make. Of course, you can make them at any time of the year, not just Christmas time, and I do make them at any time of the year. But today, I am going to teach you how to make a very simple keto gingerbread cookie with, of course, that yummy keto royal icing, because you cannot make gingerbread cookies without royal icing. It's just unheard of. So, if you want printable versions of these, you can check out my website at janetsdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find printable versions of these and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out a new video. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some Amazon affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using my Amazon affiliate link, a small portion will go to me, which will help to support the channel. So anytime you plan on shopping on Amazon, make sure you remember me and use my affiliate link, and a small portion of whatever you purchase will go to me and will help to support the channel. And while you do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Line 2 large baking sheets with parchment paper. In a large mixer bowl, combine 1 cup of coconut flour, 1 cup of golden monk fruit or brown sugar sweetener of your choice, 1 tablespoon of ground ginger, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a half teaspoon of salt, and a half teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Whisk or sift these all together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps in the coconut flour. Add 2 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they beat in more smooth to give you a smoother batter. Beat on low for about 10 seconds or just enough to moisten the dry ingredients. Then increase your speed to medium-low and beat on medium-low for about 30 seconds or just until the eggs are fully combined with the dry ingredients. Add 3/4 cups of room temperature butter that's slightly softened. Make sure it's just softened, not melted. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Beat on medium-low for about 10 seconds or just enough to break up the butter. Then increase the speed to medium and beat on medium for another 30 seconds or just until the butter and the vanilla are fully combined with all the other ingredients and you have a smooth dough. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push all the ingredients to the center of the bowl. Push the dough together into a large ball and massage the dough in your hands just a few times just to make sure that everything is fully combined and that the dough will be sticking together. Place the dough back into the bowl and place the bowl in the refrigerator uncovered and chill it for about 5 minutes or just until the dough is firm and is able to be rolled out into one piece. Once the dough has been chilled for 5 minutes, remove it from the refrigerator. I like to divide my dough into about 4 portions. You don't have to do this. It's just for me, it makes it easier when I'm rolling it out. But it's up to you whether you want to do that. Either way, take your dough or dough portion and press it or roll it out to about a 1/4 inch thick. Now remember, this is a gluten-free recipe, so your cookies are not going to fluff up a whole lot. So basically, whatever thickness that you roll your dough out to, that's the thickness that your cookies are going to be. So if you like your cookies a little on the fluffy side, then do like I do and roll it out to about a 1/4 inch thick. If you like your cookies a little bit thinner, then a little less than a 1/4 inch. It's up to you how thick or thin you want your cookies. Just remember, if you do roll them out less than a 1/4 of an inch, it's going to take less time to cook it, so be careful not to burn them if you roll it out any thinner than a 1/4 inch thick. Once it's pressed or rolled out, then take your cookie cutters and cut out your desired shapes. You can do these in any shapes that you want to if you don't want to make them gingerbread men or women or children. You can make them into anything you want. If you don't have cookie cutters, just scoop them out about a tablespoon at a time and shape them into a round cookie. Once they're all cut out, place them onto your prepared baking sheet and bake them in your preheated oven at 375 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how crispy you want your cookies. If you want them more on the softer side, then around 8 minutes. If you want them more on the firm side, about 10 minutes. I like to do it 10 minutes because I think it holds up better when you're putting the icing on it if the cookies are a little firm. But again, it's up to you how soft or firm you want your cookies. Once the cookies are done baking, remove them from the oven. They will still be soft, but they will firm up as they cool. Allow them to cool on the pan for about 30 minutes so they can firm up nicely. After the 30 minutes, transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool completely before icing them. For the royal icing, place 2 large room temperature egg whites into a large mixer bowl. Make sure the egg whites are room temperature because you're going to whip these up and you need the room temperature in order for them to whip up properly. Fit your mixer with a whisk attachment. Whisk the egg whites on medium speed for about 2 minutes or until they're foamy on top. Now this recipe does require raw eggs, so if you are concerned about any bacteria, you can do one of 2 things. You can either add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to your icing. You'll just whisk it in after you whisk in all the sweetener, and the acid from the lemon juice will help keep any bacteria away. Or if you're extra concerned and don't think the lemon juice is gonna suit your purpose, you can pasteurize your eggs before you use them. And all you would need to do to pasteurize your eggs is place your eggs in a saucepan over medium heat. Pour in enough water to fully cover your eggs. Make sure your eggs are completely covered with the water. So make sure you have a saucepan that's big enough to fully cover the eggs with water. Then heat the eggs over medium heat for about 5 to 7 minutes or just until the water begins to steam and you see very small bubbles forming in the bottom of your pan. Do not bring it to a boil. If you have a thermometer, the water should be around 140 degrees. You don't want it any hotter than that because then your eggs will start to cook. And we're not wanting to cook them, we're just wanting to warm the yolk enough to keep the bacteria away. Also, before you put your eggs into the water, you want to bring your eggs up to room temperature. So I usually take them out and let them sit on the counter for about 20-30 minutes. Just enough to where when you touch the shells, it should feel room temperature. They should not feel cold. You don't want to put cold eggs into this because if you do, you run the risk of the yolk not becoming warm enough to keep off the bacteria. So make sure your eggs are room temperature before you put them in the pan. Once your water has come up to 140 degrees or you're starting to see a little bit of bubbles in the bottom of your pan, then allow the eggs to heat up for about another 3 minutes, maintaining that 140 to 142 degree water. You do not want it to go in any higher than that because, like I said, your eggs will cook. You don't want to do that. So if you have a thermometer, keep an eye on it. Make sure the water does not go above 142 at the absolute max. If you don't have a thermometer, then turn off your heat and leave your pan on the burner and allow it to sit in that warm water for another 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure you keep an eye on the water so that it does not start bubbling because it will still be sitting on a warm burner. So just keep an eye on it while it's sitting for another 3 to 5 minutes. Once it's sat in that warm water for 3 to 5 minutes, then drain the water out of the pan and immediately place the eggs under cold running water until they are completely cooled off. Now you do want to do this under running water. You really don't want to fill up a bowl with cold water and just leave it there while your eggs are heating up, because then you run the risk of having bacteria form in your water. So it's best to rinse them under running water. Just make sure it is cold as your tap water will get it. So once they're rinsed completely, you can either use them immediately or you can store them in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 1 week. So that's how you pasteurize your eggs if you choose to pasteurize them. But back to the royal icing. Once your egg whites have been beat on medium for 2 minutes and they're nice and foamy, reduce the speed on your mixer to medium-low and very gradually add in 2 cups of powdered swerve or powdered sweetener of your choice. Now you want to do this very gradually in very small amounts. Add a little bit, allow it to whisk in, add a little bit more, allow it to whisk in. Stop as you need to and scrape down the sides to make sure that all the sweetener is getting fully combined. You don't want to have clumps of sweetener in your icing. So make sure you keep gradually adding it and scraping down the sides as needed until all of the powdered swerve is added completely. Once the full 2 cups of powdered swerve have been added and you've scraped down the sides of the bowl and made sure that all the sweetener is in the center of your bowl, beat on medium again for about another minute or so just to make sure that all the sweetener is fully combined, because you do not want to have any little lumps of the powdered swerve in your icing. That'll ruin it. Once the icing's all made, place your desired amount into a piping bag fitted with a small tip. Now you can technically use whatever size tip you want on your piping bag. I like to use the small one just because it's easier to handle for me. But depending on what type of designs you want on your gingerbread cookies is up to you. So whatever type of tip you want to fit it with, it's up to you. You can also divide the icing into different bowls and add food coloring if you want some color to your cookies. It's up to you. If you don't have a piping bag, it's okay. You can use a spoon, or you can use toothpicks, or you can use your fingers, whatever you want. You can use whatever you want to put the icing on your cookies. Just decorate the cookies however you want. Once the cookies are all decorated the way you want them to, place them back on the wire rack. You can eat them immediately if you want to, but it's best when you're using royal icing to allow your cookies to sit for a while. That way the icing can harden up and not fall right off of your cookie. If you eat it right away, you run the risk of the icing crumbling and just falling right off of your cookie. So it's best to let it sit for a few hours. I usually let mine sit for about 4 to 6 hours. You don't necessarily have to let it sit that long. You want it to sit long enough for the icing to get hard. That way it sticks to your cookies. Now when you do put this in a piping bag, if it does seem like it's too thick to pipe through your bag, depending on the size tip and the size bags you have, it may seem a little thick. If it does seem a little bit too thick, you can use a fork and stir in a little bit of water. Just be careful not to put too much water, because if you put too much water in it, your icing will not harden. So start out with a half to 1 teaspoon and see how it is for you, and then go from there. Once you've allowed your cookies to sit and you're ready to serve them, place them on a serving platter and eat and enjoy. And those are our recipes of the day. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button. You could leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.